places of that. That's another advantage that we have over a lot of our competitors. A lot of our, even the major competitors, have what we call a thick client technology. The best one I can think of right now is NextGen. NextGen built a very expensive system, but they're still running on technology that's thick client. If you want to run multiple offices like you do, they're going to ask you to put Citrix on your server. Okay, that not only is expensive, but it involves an entire layer of things that can go wrong. Our system was really designed for practices with multiple sites that you can connect right over the internet. So that's another advantage. Back to my the E chart, you'll notice that we have categories and documents. We allow you to create your own categories. So if there's certain, you could create a category that might say insurance cards, another one that says release forms, etc. And then when you attach these documents or scan them, you would then just assign that document to the proper category. Okay. While I'm in here, I just want to talk about a couple of these other buttons that are lit. This is our recall button. You notice is lit, and we got asterisk behind it. That's because we have uncomplied recalls for this patient. This patient has a 6-month abnormal PAP recheck. This was the recall date. They were supposed to come in literally almost 2 years ago, and they didn't. But this is very important because maybe the patient is calling about something else. We get the scheduler sees this recall button. They go, well, you need a pap smear, so we need to make sure that we do that for you. Or if it's an ultrasound, whatever it is. By the way, you'll notice a patient can have multiple recalls. So you can have, and I know you had this in your case, Dr. Silberstein, where you may have the same patient that has an abnormal pap smear, but they also need to come back for a 2-year mammogram. So the system is keeping track of the outstanding recalls and can send out letters independently of the recalls, etc., and is tracking them. Remember, our recall system tracks compliance. So if a patient has 2 recalls, a mammogram and pap smear, they come in and get the pap smear, that mammogram recall will still be uncomplied until they get the mammogram. The pap smear recall will get complied when the pap smear is posted into the system. I won't give you all the bullshit with all the questions. Does that sound good to you? Is that something that would be important? Do you understand how it will help your practice? All that as an aside. Technical demo, but I'm also trying to give it from a sales side as well. Okay. Again? Yes. No, I don't mind. You want me to do it now? Okay. Um, here's the quick sales points of the collections module. First of all, it's a workflow environment. It's a paperless system. You are not tied down to running reports. The way other systems would tell you that they do collections are report driven. They will tell you you can run an age analysis report or age trial balance for everybody that owes you money that's 60 days old, right? And and John, did your system, is that how they were doing collections? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with that approach and why our approach is better. First of all, someone has to physically wake up and say, I want to run collections, and then they have to manually run the report. Okay? When the report runs off, all that gives them is a tickler. So they basically go in and they have to look at each account. They spend time auditing the account, what's happened, what hasn't happened, and then they take some action. Okay, we workflow all that. Okay, so that in our collections module, letters automatically go out when they're supposed to go out, and more importantly, your collectors are fed the accounts that they need to work through the collector work screen. All the auditing is done by the system, okay? All the manual decision making is done by the system. And so the bottom line is you are on top of the money all the time. So you collect the money as soon as it becomes overdue. You can have in there that, a patient is overdue at 41 days. On the 41st day, you'll get a tickler put in your collections module. A letter will be generated, okay, or whatever you've asked it to do, and the system moves that tickler along. Okay, so it saves you an enormous amount of time because you're not doing the auditing. Most collections is 90% auditing, 10% contact. Ours is 100% contact. So all that auditing is done by the system. And as you know, the other part of that collections is that if the longer the money stays out, the harder it is to collect. Whether it's patient collections or even insurance collections. I mean, think about all the insurance claims that may have been generated by your practice. If they're over a year old, some insurance companies go, "You're out of you're out of time. You're a time violation. I'm sorry, we never got that claim. Your services are too old." So the collections module keeps you on top of that money. I will tell you that practices that use this, there's two bottom line benefits to it. They get the money in faster, and the amount of money that is overdue shrinks immensely. We have a practice that was running a $3 million accounts receivable. Before they put in the system, they had close to $500,000 of that was over 90 days old. Now it's around $50,000 just because they're getting to it faster. And by the way, they went from 3 collectors to 1 collector. Yeah. And they have a huge AR. There are 60 doctors or more. Is that a pediatric, that one? That pediatric associate? Yeah, in Seattle? Yeah. So that's the bottom line on it. Okay? Let me just touch upon one other lit button up here, and we'll actually then make an appointment. Now, by the way, obviously, Dr. DeCoster, you realize it doesn't take this long to make an appointment. I'm trying to show you everything that's in the system so that you'll get an appreciation for all that we do. Okay. There's a little button here called authorizations that's lit. We actually, your authorizations be an OBGYN. Well, actually, it may not be. Some OBGYNs both act as the specialist and as the primary gatekeeper. Our system is one of the few systems in the market that can track both inbound referrals and outbound referrals. That's very important to know. Let me just kind of bring up an authorization to show you what we're keeping track of here. Within the authorization table, each authorization, obviously, we're indicating the type, whether it's referral in or referral out. If there's an authorization number and it's been approved, then we're going to put that in here. And then we have a status. This one's been approved, but you could have requested, in process, denied, canceled, etc., etc. So you can have the status. You would indicate, since we're the specialist, the primary care provider is coming from our referring doctor list, okay? And then the specialty provider is the doctor at our practice. If it was an outbound referral, it would be the other way around. We would be the referring provider, and we would be referring it to the specialist, okay? You can have up to 4 diagnoses that are covered, okay? The date it was requested, the date it was authorized, and the date it expires. Okay. By the way, let's say, for example, this got authorized, but now we know that it's going to expire. I'm going to actually change this around. Let's say we requested it today. I type in a T. That's our shortcut for our dates. Okay. I'll just say it was authorized today. I'll type in a T. And it was good for 60 days. So if I type in 60D, it'll give me 60 days from today. These date shortcuts are available throughout the PM system. Okay. Down here, we can also put any other comments. We can also put the contact of who we spoke to at the insurance company that's giving us the authorization. And then here we can have what's covered. And we've created the system to cover all the different types of cases that you would have with an authorization. You can have an authorization cover a specific CPT code or CPT codes. You can have it cover